Hello everyone, let's dive into the fascinating world of the Inca civilization, which thrived in ancient Peru from around 1400 to 1533 CE. At its peak, the Inca Empire stretched across western South America, from Quito in the north to Santiago in the south. This was the largest empire the Americas had ever seen, and was unmatched worldwide at that time. Despite the harsh Andean environment, the Incas conquered diverse terrains, plains, mountains, deserts, and even tropical jungles. They were renowned for their remarkable art and architecture, building grand and finely crafted structures in every place they conquered. Their incredible adaptation of natural landscapes through terracing, highways, and mountaintop settlements still amazes visitors today at iconic sites like Machu Picchu. And the origins of the Incas blend history with myth. According to legend, the creator god Viracocha emerged from the Pacific Ocean, creating the sun and all ethnic groups at Lake Titicaca. These first people were hidden and later emerged from sacred places like springs and rocks. The Incas believed they were brought into existence at Tiwanaku by the sun god Inti, considering themselves the children of the sun. The Inca ruler was seen as Inti's representative on earth. Another creation myth tells of the first Incas emerging from a sacred cave called Tampu Tocco near Cuzco. The first humans, Manco Capac and his sister and wife, Mama Oclu, along with their siblings, set out to found their civilization. They defeated the Chanca people with the help of mythical stone warriors and established their capital in the valley of Cuzco. Archaeological evidence shows that the Cuzco Valley had been inhabited since 4500 BCE, but it became significant around 1000 to 1400 CE. The first great Inca leader, Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, expanded the empire dramatically after defeating the Chanca in 1438 CE. The Incas then extended their reach across the Andes, conquering various civilizations like the Lupaca, Cala, and Chimar. The Inca Empire's rise was astonishingly rapid. They gave privileged status to Quechua speakers, who formed a noble class dominating all important roles. Pachacuti's successor, Thupa Inca Yupanqui, expanded the empire by 4,000 kilometers. They called their empire Tawantinsuyo, meaning land of the four quarters, with Cusco as the center. This vast empire stretched 5,500 kilometers, governing around 10 million subjects who spoke over 30 languages. AMD. Now let's explore their government and administration, a key aspect that helped them manage such a vast empire. And the Incas had a detailed record-keeping system for their kings, known as the Sapa Inca. Some notable rulers include Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, Thupa Inca Yupanqui, and Huayna Capac, the last ruler before the Spanish conquest. There are hints that two kings might have ruled simultaneously, and that queens may have had significant influence, but Spanish records are unclear on these points. The Sapa Inca was an absolute ruler, living in luxury with gold and silver cups, silver shoes, and lavishly decorated palaces. Even in death, these rulers were treated with great reverence. Their mummies, stored in the Coricancha temple in Cusco, were brought out during elaborate ceremonies, dressed in their finest attire, and offered food and drink. They were even consulted on important state matters. The Inca administration was as meticulously organized as their architecture. At the top was the ruler, supported by 10 groups of nobles called Panaca. Below them were 10 more kindred groups, slightly more distantly related to the king, followed by a third group of nobles who were not of royal blood but were granted noble status. At the local level, administrators managed the smallest population unit, the Elu, a collection of households working the land together and supporting each other. Local administrators reported to over 80 regional administrators, who in turn reported to a governor for each quarter of the empire. These 4 governors then reported to the supreme Inca ruler in Cusco. To ensure loyalty, the heirs of local rulers were kept as well-treated captives in the Inca capital. The most crucial roles in politics, religion, and the military were held by the Inca elite, known for their large ear spools, which symbolized their status. For efficient control, garrisons were placed throughout the empire, and new administrative centers were established, such as Tambo, Colorado, Huánuco, Pampa, and Hachinzaxa. The Incas conducted censuses and organized the population into groups based on multiples of 10 for tax purposes. Without a currency system, taxes were paid in kind, foodstuffs, precious metals, textiles, and labor through the Mita system, where laborers were moved across the empire as needed. Agricultural land was divided into 3 parts: for the state religion, the Inca ruler, and the farmers themselves. Local communities also contributed to imperial projects like building and maintaining the extensive road network. The Incas used a sophisticated system of knotted cords called quipu to record these statistics, capable of representing numbers up to 10,000. Although the Incas imposed their religion and administration on conquered peoples, they also provided benefits like food redistribution during environmental disasters, improved storage facilities, worked through state-sponsored projects, religious feasts, roads, irrigation systems, terrace farms, military protection, and luxury goods, particularly art enjoyed by the local elites. And Cuzco, the Inca capital, was the religious and administrative heart of the empire, with a population of up to 150,000 at its height. The city's most magnificent structures, attributed to Pachacuti, included the gold-covered Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun, and other grand temples. Cuzco was designed in the shape of a puma, with different parts of the city representing the animal's body, though some scholars view this symbolically. The city was filled with plazas, parklands, shrines, fountains, and canals, showcasing its architectural and cultural grandeur. Sadly, much of Cuzco's splendor survives only in the accounts of the first Europeans who witnessed it. And now let's delve into their fascinating religion and impressive architecture. And the Incas held great respect for the earlier Wari and Tiwanaku civilizations, which occupied much of their territory. These places were central to their creation myths, making them especially sacred. Inca rulers often made pilgrimages to Tiwanaku and the islands of Lake Titicaca, where they built shrines dedicated to Inti, the sun god, and Mama Kilia, the moon goddess. In Cuzco's Coricancha complex, these deities were represented by large artworks in precious metals, tended by priests and priestesses under the high priest of the sun, Wilik Umu. Inca religion focused on controlling natural forces and preventing disasters like earthquakes and droughts, which were part of the natural cycle of change known as Pachacuti, involving death and renewal. Sacred sites called huacas often utilized natural features like mountain tops and springs for astronomical observations. Religious ceremonies were tied to the astronomical calendar, particularly the movements of the sun, moon, and Milky Way, and were connected to agricultural cycles. The temple city of Pachacamac, dedicated to a god responsible for creation and earthquakes, was another sacred site, attracting pilgrims from across the Andes. Shamans played a vital role in Inca religion, active in every settlement, with the most important being the Yakarka, the ruler's advisor. Ancestor worship was significant, seen in mummification and offerings to the gods. Sacrifices, including animals and sometimes humans, were made to honor the gods and ensure the king's well-being. Libations of water or chicha beer were crucial in rituals. The Incas spread their religion by constructing temples and seizing sacred relics from conquered peoples, storing them in Cuzco's Coricancha as a means of control. And the Incas were master stonemasons, creating impressive buildings and fortifications with precisely cut stones, requiring no mortar. Their architecture featured clean lines and trapezoid shapes, which helped withstand earthquakes and symbolized Inca power throughout the empire. A common Inca structure was the culca, a storage warehouse for maize and potatoes. The calanca was a large hall for gatherings, while the cancha comprised small single-room buildings with thatched roofs around a courtyard, a design spread across their empire. The Incas also excelled in agriculture, using terracing and advanced water management systems, creating canals and fountains. Goods were transported across a vast road network spanning over 40,000 kilometers, using llamas and porters. The roads facilitated the movement of armies, administrators, and trade, serving as a potent symbol of Inca authority. Rest stations and a relay system of runners, known as chasquis, allowed messages to be carried swiftly across the empire. And now let's explore their remarkable art and the reasons behind the collapse of their empire. And the Incas, influenced by the Chimu civilization, developed a distinct artistic style symbolizing their imperial power. Their art is most evident in polished metalwork, ceramics, and textiles, the latter being the most esteemed. Gold, known as the sweat of the sun, and silver, the tears of the moon, were used in creating exquisite pieces. Inca designs often featured geometric shapes, achieved with technical precision and standardization. The checkerboard pattern was a favorite. Artworks often served as a tax to the state, reflecting the cultural heritage of different communities, much like how modern coins and stamps symbolize a nation's history. While metalwork such as jewelry and ceremonial items were reserved for Inca nobility, textiles made from the luxurious vicuna wool were also exclusive. Only the Inca ruler could own vicuna herds. Common ceramics, like the erpu, used for storing maize, were more widely available. Unlike other Andean cultures, Inca art rarely depicted human figures, rituals, or mythological creatures. Despite this, their textiles, ceramics, and metal sculptures were technically superior, showing influences yet maintaining unique Inca characteristics. Gifted artisans from various regions, including Chan Chan and Titicaca, were brought to Cuzco to create masterpieces for the Inca elite. And the Inca Empire was built on military might and often faced unpopularity among its subjects, especially in the north. This unrest was exploited by Spanish conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro in the 16th century. The empire had not fully consolidated its power when faced with this external threat. Rebellions were common, and the Incas were embroiled in conflict in Ecuador, where they had established a second capital at Quito. Compounding their troubles, European diseases like smallpox ravaged the population, wiping out 65 to 90% of the people. The epidemic claimed the life of Emperor Huayna Capac in 1528, leading to a civil war between his sons, Huáscar and Atahualpa, just as the Spanish arrived. This combination of internal strife, disease, and invasion led to the downfall of the mighty Inca Empire, the largest and richest in the Americas. Today, the Inca language, Quechua, is spoken by about 8 million people, and remnants of their civilization, buildings, artifacts, and writings, testify to their incredible wealth, ingenuity, and cultural achievements.